by General Mkhwanazi in that meeting. That would have been part of a mandate, and I believe expected in the execution of their powers to conduct oversight, to call the department to account and to explain what the situation was.
And your comments refer specifically to the Portfolio Committee on Police?
That is correct.
Thank you, Commissioner Baloyi. If we can then proceed from paragraph 64, you were about to start with ministerial oversight, and you say in terms of section 208 of the Constitution, the Minister of Police is, apart from SAPS, also responsible for the CSPS and IPIT. If you can. Also responsible for the CSPS and IPIT. If you can. Please proceed from 65.
In terms of Section 208 of the Constitution, the Civilian Secretariat for Police is required to function under the direction of a minister or the cabinet member responsible for policing. It is established in the Civilian Secretariat. The department has been established in terms of a Civilian Secretariat for the Police Service Act. The Civilian Secretariat monitors the performance of the police service and regularly assesses the sufficiency of policies and systems, and they are also empowered to make recommendations on the effectiveness thereof. The department also advises and supports the Minister of Police in the execution of his or her powers and the performance of his or her functions. And the department reports to the Minister on the implementation and compliance by the police service with policy directives issued and instructions made by the Minister.
Yes, and then you deal with IPIT next.
Section 206(6) of the Constitution provides that on receipt of a complaint lodged by a provincial executive, an independent police complaints body established by national legislation must investigate any alleged misconduct of or offence committed by a member of a police service in the province. IPIT is the body established in terms of in terms of the Independent Police Investigative Directorate Act to give effect to Section 206(6) of the Constitution. It ensures independent oversight of the SAPS as well as municipal police services, investigate offences allegedly committed by members of the SAPS and municipal police services, and make recommendations relating to disciplinary action in respect of such members. Chair, if I can just indicate, there's a typo in paragraph 67. The citation of the Act is incorrect. It is Act 1 of 2011 and not 2010.
Okay, thanks. And then you proceed to deal with the internal regulatory framework from paragraphs 68 to 70. Among other things, you relate to, or you refer to the SAPS Code of Conduct in paragraph 68, and then you touch on Regulation 39, the SAPS Employment Regulations, which regulates the general conditions of appointment, and in paragraph 70, you reference the SAPS regulations for DPCI, and whereafter you introduce the next topic that you deal with, which relates to the PKTT.
Again, Mr. Mutau, before we go to the next topic, the section before with the various subsections or subheadings, General, are you aware of any report from any of those bodies mentioned in paragraph 65, 66, 68 that would have served before the minister and would have influenced the decision that was taken on 31 December 2024?
I am not aware of any report in that regard, Commissioner.
Because any of those entities, as I understand, could have investigated
regulations which regulates the general conditions of appointment, and in paragraph 70 you reference the SARS regulations
That is correct.
for DPCI, and whereafter you introduce the next topic that you deal with, which relates to the PKTT.
And then now, before we go to the next topic, the section before with the various subsections or subheadings. General, are you aware of any report from any of those bodies mentioned in paragraph 65, 66, 68 that would have served before the minister and would have influenced the decision that was taken on 31 December 2024?
I am not aware of any report in that regard, Commissioner.
Because any of those entities, as I understand, could have investigated.
Yes, sir.
And if there were any findings adverse to the task team, then those would have obviously been taken into account
That is correct.
to determine whether it should continue to exist or not.
Yes, that is correct, sir.
And as far as you know, there is no report from any of those bodies.
As far as I'm aware, there's no report received from any of these bodies pertaining to their mandate raising complaints or concerns.
Thank you, Commissioner Kwan. And perhaps just to close that aspect, that if there were such reports, would you expect that their contents be put to the members of the PKTT, and by that I mean the three, at the very least, the National Commissioner, the Provincial Commissioner, and the Director of Crime Intelligence as the project head of the PKTT, for them to address those concerns, if there were any, that the minister would have had prior to taking his decision of 31 December 2024?
Well, sir, if I can go back to the oversight bodies, in the case of the portfolio committee, they will write to the minister. But when for example, let's say they complain about the police in any respect, the letter will be submitted to the minister as part of the part of cabinet, and then that letter will be cascaded to the National Commissioner to respond. Because he deals with policing matters, so the National Commissioner will be in a position to gather the information, for example, and prepare a response for the signature of a minister to go back. In respect of the SCOPA, the police, the department itself will appear before SCOPA, but once again, because it's a parliamentary committee, they will write to the minister. But the other oversight bodies, for example, the Chapter 9 institutions, will write directly to the National Commissioner as the head of department. So it's not inappropriate to report that they are lodging directly to the head of a department for responses or to provide information. And in respect of the other departments, the Civilian Secretariat and IPIT, normally they will approach the National Commissioner, and a copy of a report or letter will be submitted to the Minister. So there's very few of that oversight bodies that will in isolation only approach the Minister and not report or approach the National Commissioner directly. That will in isolation only approach the Minister and not report or approach the National Commissioner directly. directly in respect of a complaint or an investigation that is conducted within their mandate or scope of responsibility.
And earlier on...
Oh, sorry,
sorry,
Mr. Mutau.
Apologies.
In response to Mr. Mutau, you say that senior management members who ought to have become aware, or rather, who ought to have been involved prior to the decision of 31 December 2024 being taken, were not involved. Now, are you aware whether were any members of such senior management who were involved before the decision was taken? And if you are aware, who are those?
I have no information in that regard, Chair. So I cannot respond but say I do not know. So I'm not aware that any member was approached or informed, and therefore I cannot give names because there's simply no information for me to give.
Is that odd?
Is
that is the fact that someone in your position is not aware at all. Is that not strange? Not strange in the sense that I'm criticizing you. I'm saying in terms of the processes. Is that not odd?
Well, it's difficult to respond, especially in view of the fact that I'm at legal services. It may have been in an operational environment, specifically within that chain of command, strange not to have a commander being informed or being made aware. So in that regard, I cannot really respond on the possibility that somebody knew about it, simply because it's a little bit distant from my area of responsibility.
I understand. Thank you, General.
Thank you.
Mr. Mutau, before you proceed, in this communication matrix that you make, if something had arisen in the portfolio committee, as I understand you, then someone would write to the minister. If it's a matter of concern that needs to be addressed, and the minister would then communicate with the national commissioner. Now, from the evidence, as you're aware, that we've had now, you have Member of Parliament